Hi, everybody. Here we are at another installment of LA Guitar Hang. I cannot tell you guys how excited I am. I have the legendary Bruce Forman with me tonight, jazz guitar legend of the San Francisco area and LA area and beyond, and Carmel. And welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Great, Dwayne. Great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. It's always, it's great to be anywhere at this point.
Yeah, man. It's great to see you, and I recognize your room from the Grumps podcast. So
The Grumps and my daily chorus. First chorus of the day. I wake up and you can tell because if you look at me pretty close, you can see. And the first chorus I play on my guitar, I just put it on Instagram. I pick a song and I play a chorus, and it's like my morning meditation.
I have to check that out because I heard about you talking about that on Guitar Wank, and I'm on Instagram, but I don't go on there as much as I should, so I need to get on there and follow you on there and check that out. That sounds like it'd be blessed.
I would suggest stay off as much as you can, but I mean, for me, it's just a way of it's like a job. I mean, now in this particular time when I'm not touring and I'm not working gigs, in the morning I wake up, I walk my dog, do my coffee, and then I come out here, and the first thing I do is I pick up the guitar, tune it up, turn my phone on, and just pick a tune and play a chorus and put it on out to the world, So it's like I have a
Yeah.
And it's fun, it's a challenge. I have to make sure that it comes in under a minute, so
Yeah.
I have to figure, okay, if it's a 32 bar tune, it has to be more than 128 beats per minute,
Yeah.
Work. I kind of do some math so I know at least what tempo I have to kind of be in.
Right.
And I just do it and put it up, and I mean, it's not near as involved as like Grumps TV is, my TV show.
Right.
But
yeah, that's such a great show. I was watching a little bit of a few episodes again recently. It kind of reminds me of like an old time radio show, really, more than it. I mean, the visuals there, but it just has a feeling of like that kind of a thing,
Yeah, well, we what I was going for. Well, first of all, I never thought it would keep going. I mean, I figured like when we started it, there'd be like 2 or 3 weeks and I'd be back on the road or back in school or whatever. I never thought that this shit was going to go on like forever.
Nobody did.
And so we did it twice a week, and I figured 6-7 episodes, that would be it. I'd be back on the horse and gone again. And when we got to 50 episodes, I decided, okay, we're going to take a break for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is very much, you're right. I mean, I've never put the radio show together. I always kind of felt like it was, I don't know if you're old enough, but there was a show called Fernwood Tonight.
I heard about that because I'm a huge fan of Fred Willard, and I know he was on there. And
Martin Mull, who's a great comedian, and Martin Mull's a great guitar player too.
Okay.
And but he had like this wacky band, and so there was part that. So I figured, well, part Fernwood Tonight, part I Love Lucy, part Daily Show or something. And
your wife's on there with you, right?
Right, and she's one of the reasons we only made it to 50, because it was hard for her, because she was like really committed, and she was wearing costumes and assuming characters, and she was kind of my tech assistant and of course my bartender and waitress. So yeah, after 50 she was like, either this has got to be something bigger with some help, or we should probably, and I mean, every 2 or 3 days I had a concept. I wrote parody songs. I would play. I would have guests, I'd put them on my iPad and play along with them. And I mean, I'm really proud of them. They're all up on my YouTube channel, and everybody listening, please go and subscribe. It really helps me, and check them out. And I've been sort of extracting a lot of the solo guitar pieces I did on the show and putting them on my YouTube channel, so that people who are just the guitar freaks and want to hear me play a tune don't have to sit through all the shtick and all the jokes and all the crazy ranting. If they just want to hear me play, or if they're searching for like a guitar version of a specific song, they'll find it now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been my job lately, is just go back through all those episodes and extract a lot of the solo performances.
That's really cool.
It's really been a change, and it's really been interesting for me because, to observe what's been happening with my playing, because of the pandemic, is really, I mean, it's all documented right there. And, when you're in it, you don't really see it or hear it. But if you go back and you listen to it, you go, oh, I'm doing that now. Oh, that's where I'm going. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
because I mean, I just follow the sound. I don't sit and think about it before I do it. I just play. But of course, even before the pandemic, I was really doing a solo project called the Red Guitar that I'm real proud of. And so it was already pushing me in a solo direction. And then, of course, the pandemic happens and there's no more gigs with other people. So I'm sitting here in my shed, you know, just working it out all day long. And, it's going in kind of a strange solo where I can just do everything because I'm not leaving room for other players, nor am I concerned with them. So it has really changed my playing. I'm sitting here listening, going, wow, this, and I'm not disappointed. I mean, it's all stuff I like. So I think that's going to be a real interesting thing when and if we open up ever again, is
Right.
like the effect that this has had on players and how they all sound, how different they are. I mean, to get back together with all my peers and friends that I've played with for in some cases 50 years, and
Right.
to hear, like, what 6 months of isolation has done to all of us.
Yeah, a lot of us are just trying to survive with what we've got, but that's one of the things I'm really impressed with what you're doing because, a lot of us, including myself, I can get dark and go, oh man, things aren't going to be the same, and what are we going to do? Or someone like you, you're just saying, I'm going to embrace this and I'm going to take it in a whole other new direction, and that's just great. And more of us, all of us, need to do that because instead of complaining and bitching, you're making it something new, which is really cool. And maybe that's where we're all going to go at some point.
Well, I got bad news and good news for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it ain't going back to what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it had been 3 weeks, maybe,
Yeah.
or 3 months even, maybe.
Yeah.
But at this point, uh, we're going back or going to a new something.
Mm-hmm.
It'll have elements of the old stuff, of course,
Sure.
but I think, and if we remember back to February and March, early March, it wasn't like we were living in 52nd Street, in 1940.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like 5 clubs on every block, and
Right.
every musician wasn't working every night.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't sessions to play everywhere. I mean, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't as great as maybe we remember it to being. It was sure
Yeah.
better than it is now.
Yeah.
But where we end up, first of all, I think, like I say, the musical effect on the people that really have been working on stuff and trying to stay active and keeping their community intact, and chasing the sounds. I mean, like, look, I'm shedding all day. I'm playing all day long when I'm not teaching or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
and for the first time since I was a kid, I'm just playing stuff I like.
Right.
I mean, I'm not shedding for a gig. I'm not shedding for a record date or an audition. I'm not shedding because everybody's doing something, and in order to keep my gigs, I have to like learn to play in seven, or everybody's playing these tunes that I don't really like, or I mean, I kind of like, but I've got to play them because everybody's playing them. No,
Right.
I'm just doing shit that I love and just going down. And like, in some cases you don't even know you love it, but it's just where you spend your time. Like,
Yeah, that's a common theme.
and you just find your sound and you go
Right.
for it. And that's going to have a huge, great effect on a lot of players.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm hoping, I mean, like I say, the guys who mentored me, the guys we admire, the people who created the world that we inherited, that we're moving in, it wasn't easy for them. You know, they had their challenges, and
Hmm.
what did they do? They rose to the challenges and they played their best, and they
Hmm.
made something happen. And that's the story of improvised music and of, you know, of artists.
Hmm.
And so the way I look at it is we just got a new set of changes that nobody had ever seen before,
Right.
and we got to learn how to play on 'em.
Hmm.
And you know, and I mean, I'm not going to sit here and complain that I don't like the tune. I'm going to figure out how to play on them. And
Right.
I think that is just our responsibility as artists, but also our responsibility to all the people before us who pioneered the way so that we can even do this.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense, and that's like it's a common theme that I'm seeing with a lot of people, like what you're saying, how you're not practicing for a gig or a situation. It's kind of like being a kid again, where I know myself when I play guitar, I'm just at a point where it's like, what do I feel like doing today? You know, sometimes I just take out an acoustic guitar and sing Bob Dylan songs just for the hell of it, just because that's what I feel like doing that day. I'm a jazz guitar player, but I'm free to do whatever I want to do. You know what I mean? So it's like, and like you're saying, it's the same thing. You can just work on whatever you feel like and whatever songs you want. Are you teaching a lot now, or do you most still have a lot of free time?
Yeah, yeah, no, I am teaching quite a bit. I mean, I'm at USC still, so I've got my
Hmm.
students there, and I have numerous private students from all around the world who are doing Zoom lessons. And
Yeah.
I am still producing mymusicmasterclass.com videos.
Hmm.
I have a new one that just came out last week.
Hmm.
And on the Guitar Wank podcast, we're still putting out the podcasts. I do a thing called 1 minute lesson.
Hmm.
And if you're a Patreon member of the Guitar Wank, you get access to all those. And there's probably 20 of them up by now.
Okay.
And so that's, yeah, I mean, I stay pretty busy with the teaching. I've got streaming concerts coming up this week in LA. I'm coming down for a second. And yeah, you know, just doing it, you
Are
know.
you
And
doing any outdoor gigs at all? Because there are people doing that too.
I know, and I up where I live in Monterey County, they're not allowing live music right now,
Okay.
which is bullshit. You know, I'm here to say it's bullshit. If a
Yeah,
waiter
it is bullshit.
if a waiter can walk up to your table, and if I can go to the UPS store and hand somebody something over the counter a foot away, well, of course we're wearing masks, but
Yeah.
I mean, why can't I wear a mask and be 6 feet away, 8 feet away from you and playing music? That's just, you know what I mean? What it is they're just hurting us more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. LA and certain cities. I live in Huntington Beach, which is
Yeah.
Orange County, and it's funny because for the first time, like right now, Orange County is the place for live music. Like I never thought that would happen, but there's gigs. I'm not gigging a lot, but I am gigging a little bit. People are gigging, but it's all down here now because LA shut everything down. And I
Right.
agree with you. The gigs I've done were outside, were spread out. I did this one gig with my organ trio, and literally we're like 10 feet apart. We didn't even need to wear a mask. We were
Right.
separated from the rest of the, and it was fucking great. I felt like it was one of the best nights ever, just because look, with all the streaming stuff, it's great, but there's nothing that replaces being around people still to this day, and that's the thing that I'm afraid we're gonna lose, you know.
Well, yes. I mean, I am too. I mean, you know, I'm as you can tell, I'm generally optimistic and positive,
Very, yeah.
but I am very afraid of the fact that the longer the world gets disconnected from live music, the more they get used to the internet being their supplier of live music and
Hmm.
in general. And then, you know, as we start to open up, you know, the last thing anybody's going to want to do is go to a club
Hmm.
where the acoustics might not be so great, where there's a bunch of people right next to you you don't know breathing on you, where the drinks are expensive and you've just had to drive 30 minutes to get there. You know, it's just like,
Yeah.
you know, if they don't look at this and go like, why am I doing this? You know, it was better when I was watching the streams from the baked potato or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And I am concerned about just people's, you get, you know, like, I mean, we're hardwired to want to be in a community and be around each other. I mean, all the way back
Yeah.
to caves, but still, events like this, and we've never had the internet like this, and you know, and all of a sudden people buy, you know, all this equipment, and then and they're a little hard up on money because of their employment situation or whatever, and then they're a little reticent to hang in public, and the next thing you know, I mean, that could be a real death knell to a lot of live music, and
Right.
I'm really worried about it. I think we have to fight to, and on multiple levels. One, we have to fight to just keep it going. As soon as they let it happen, we need to kind of, because there will be people clamoring for it, and we just need to re-educate them how great it is. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
reason we do it is because of that, because we were hanging around it. It just like lit our thing up, and so we had to be part of it. So, I mean, we need to remember that we need to light that fire again when we
Yeah.
chance. And the other thing is, you know, it's a reboot. We don't. I think there's a lot of institutionalized way of doing this business that doesn't need to be done that way.
Hmm.
And we need, as musicians, to start realizing that we have options. And when this opens up, we don't have to go and beg restaurant owners to let us play.
Right.
We can produce our own concerts.
Sure.
We can, you know, I mean, if you've got a following and you've got the internet and you can get people to buy tickets to a show, hell, you could get any restaurant or bar to like give you the room, and you
Right.
get the whole door. You wouldn't be
Yeah.
a share. You just say, I look, I'm going to fill up your club and you can sell them food and drinks. They go, really? Yeah. Meanwhile, at the door, you know, now with brown paper tickets or one of those kind of things, you know, you can sell it all in advance online,
Right.
and we can actually make some fucking money, and we don't have to fucking kiss their asses
Yeah.
while they treat us like waiters who are expected to work on tips. You know,
Right.
I mean,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
yeah.
No, I was gonna say I think people are gonna want to go back out because I'm seeing, half the country right now is open. We in California, we don't realize that, but I have friends. I grew up in Florida, and they're back home, and Florida's opened up completely, which you can definitely say that might be insane, whatever. But these guys are gigging, and the people are packing these places, starved for music. Now, I'm not saying that's the safest thing to do, but I'm like what you're saying. Maybe people don't want that anymore. I'm playing devil's advocate. I have a feeling that they're going to be starved for it. And also, like, I don't know about you, but like, I've been trying to continue and be with the community where I'm watching these stream concerts. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like them. I don't enjoy a stream concert. To me, it's like watching just some video on YouTube that's already been recorded already.
Yeah.
And I don't really get anything out of it. I've paid for a few to help support the scene, but I just don't like it. To me, it's not even close. I've gone to a couple outdoor things besides my own. And even when it's separated and I'm wearing a mask and like I went, Will Brom, he was one of the guys. He's my buddy. I went and saw him recently, and I'm sitting outside. I'm having dinner and I'm having a few drinks, and just sitting there feeling like this is 1,000% better than watching it online. It's not even close.
Oh,
And I think more people are going to feel that way. I really do.
I really hope you're right.
Yeah.
I know that with me, you couldn't have anybody agree with you more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I was that guy in LA that was hanging at every gig.
Right.
I mean, yeah. LA is not a town that people go out to hear music in.
Yeah.
It's just not. I mean,
yeah.
You can go to New York City.
Sure.
That's a whole different, mindset, a whole different type of person.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it's because California's so spread out. You have to drive so far and so long to get to the music, whereas in New York, you hop on the subway or you go out your apartment door and there's something around the corner.
Right.
A lot more accessible. So I mean, there is that.
Yeah.
but I really hope I really hope you're right, you know,
Yeah.
but
I don't know. Who knows? I could be
no,
wrong.
and I really agree with you, but I still think back to the other thing that we've been begging places to let us play basically and pay
Right.
their rent
Hmm.
and getting nothing. I mean,
Right.
you know, the local clubs around every town in this country pay the same as they did 40 years ago.
Right.
And I don't know about you, but my rent is higher, my food is higher, my gas is higher, my taxes
Hmm.
are higher. So, I mean, um, and if we have this one moment where the world is really happy to support us, we should take advantage of that
Hmm.
and sort of get rid of the guy. You know, why should I mean, if we're going to be tenants, we might as well pay something and then get all the money. You know, why should we?
Hmm.
They decide we get this much and they get this much, you know, and then they blame us for everything.
Right. I always
When
laugh
it's
about
like,
that.
oh, hey, when it's no, if I'm going to do all the PR and I'm going to do all the music, then I should get all the money from all the people that come to hear it.
Right. Or if you're a restaurant and you're empty on a Saturday night, it's my fault that
Right,
your restaurant is empty.
right,
It's
right,
like, if I'm not here, it's still empty. So
right.
how is that my fault? It's
I
like,
mean, well, my
you
point is,
know,
if you can fill it with your people, but
yeah.
you need to get that whole thing about him deciding how much you make. You need to say, okay, 15, 20, $30, $10, $5, whatever.
Yeah.
This is what it costs to come hear my band. And I'm going to rent, you know, basically what you're saying to the guy, you know, at 8 o'clock, all my people are coming in to eat and drink, and I'm getting all that money. And you
Right.
can sell them food and drink, and you got a full club. You know what I mean? And now I'm getting all that fucking money instead of like, oh, I sit in the corner and play, and I tell all my friends to come, and they come, and they're treated like, you know, patrons that have to buy a bunch of shit, and they know damn well that I'm not seeing any of it, so then they feel obligated to come up to a tip jar and tip us.
Right.
Why are we supporting these businesses? Because right now for 6 months, I don't know about you, but there hasn't been a restaurant that called me up and that I used to play in and say,
Hmm.
Chris, I know, you know, you're not working right now, why
Right.
don't you come in and have dinner?
Right. Right.
You know,
That's true. Yeah.
no one has done that. And I know it's hard for them. Believe me, I know they've had
Sure.
to adjust to do outside or to take away, but they're open for business.
Right.
We are shut down.
Right.
And meanwhile, when we come back, we're supposed to support them.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute here. We've been we've been getting paid less than everybody in there. The
Right.
waiters are making more. The bartenders are making more. Probably the
Yeah.
dishwashers are making more.
Right. Well,
And
like you said, you can build your name up through the internet, and then you get to a point where you don't need them anymore. Like Bruce Forman has a name, the Red Guitar has a name. So
right.
then you can rent places out and do a show, and you can rise above that, and
But we
that's the
all need,
benefit.
that's what we all need to realize is that's what we have to do now.
Yeah.
Ever since the internet happened, clubs don't advertise.
Hmm.
They leave it so now instead of just being the band, you're the marketing team.
Right.
And that's been for like 20 years, man. As soon as the internet happened, boom, they stopped advertising in newspapers. They stopped getting you interviews on the radio. They
Hmm.
don't do that anymore.
Right.
They expect you on Facebook and through an email list and whatever else to bring people to them.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's great. I mean, it would be great if it was a joint business partnership,
Yeah.
but it's not.
Right.
And we're rebooting now. So let's figure I mean, I almost want to like start a second musicians union or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To
One that actually works.
where we all realize, yeah, well, no, the union represents the people that work in the studios and the
Sure.
people in the symphony, and they
Yeah.
do. I assume they do a good job of it. I mean, hey, I get my secondary payments checks and stuff
Yeah. Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
movie work I do and stuff, so it's
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
But I mean, this other gigging thing, we all,
Mhm.
I mean, we need to realize that if we sell ourselves short, it's like, like these people that tell you, oh, well, we'll start off at $35, but when business gets good,
Right.
has anybody ever seen a raise past that? Never.
Never.
It's
Never.
never happened. And
Right.
right now, and the true colors came out when like I say, the 6, 7 months, nobody called me to say, Bruce, how you doing? You need a sandwich,
Right.
dinner? Come on in
Right.
and I'll feed you.
Right.
Like, no, no, but come play for $30, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's
I mean, I'm sorry, but and I understand, like, I'm not belittling how hard the problem is for those people. I know
sure.
it's really hard. Believe
Yeah.
me. And I'm sure they've laid off a lot of people, and it's even harder for those people.
Right.
I know that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're doing business and we're not.
Right. Yeah.
That's
We're on our own.
that's the fact.
Yeah. Thank God that you teach and people, that you're able to make a living with other means because some people don't teach.
Exactly. And I mean, I think about a lot of my friends who we've all, I mean, every one of us would rather play all the time than teach.
Sure.
I mean, I love to teach, but I love to play more.
Of course.
And it's just been a part of what I do. It's just been part of my whole business portfolio or whatever. And
Yeah.
um, and right now it's looking like a really smart move.
Yeah.
You never saw this coming. If we were sitting here with a different scenario, let's say universities, the bubble just burst and people stopped going to college because it costs too much money, right? And
That could happen.
the colleges all collapsed.
Yeah.
Then it would look really stupid for those of us who kind of went and did some teaching and stuff.
Yeah.
Because guys who are out working gigs and pushing and networking and all the time and building their community and their crowd, and they would be in a better shape right now than the guys who had a teaching gig. But now we've got a pandemic, and so that's the world we're in. You can't tell the future, man. You just got to
Yeah.
go where your passions are and where your opportunities are.
Right.
And it's been a tough road for performing musicians.
Yeah.
If you're not up in the highest echelon, it's really tough, man. It just
Yeah.
is. You got to have a wife that works, or you got to have a rich. Gotta have,
Yes.
you know what I mean. You got to want the
Yeah.
luxury. I mean, there's just certain things you have to do if because it's been a really tough situation for decades.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing I wanted to ask you about. Like, it's kind of tied into all this stuff, but like one of the things that I really like about what you do is that I revisited a record today that I had in high school, Coast to Coast, and I hadn't heard it in years. I
Whoa!
had it on vinyl, and I hadn't heard it because all my I don't even have a record player right now. I'm re-listening to Loverman and all the killer Coltrane changes on that, and just it's a killer record. I love that record. But the question was, how did you get from going from, because I'm trying to ask you things that you haven't been asked 100,000 times, but what I'm wondering is, how did you go from, you're a working jazz guitarist, you're making records, you're playing as a sideman. Now you're definitely transitioning into this thing where you're an entertainer and a jazz guitar player. So that when did the entertainer thing start to happen where you're telling stories? I know the red guitar is part of it, but it's also the cowbop is entertainment. Uh, you have this other lane now that you've opened up. Like, when did that kind of start?
Well, it was always there. I mean,
Okay.
it's just a matter of what my focus was, what my focus is. I mean, when that record you mentioned was my first record I ever
It's a
made.
great record, man.
I was like 23 when I made it.
Jesus, really? Now
Yeah.
I really feel bad.
And
Okay.
and and actually the funny thing you mentioned is I on a Grumps TV show,
Mhm.
I just remember because it was Charlie Parker's 100th birthday and his classic recording of Lover Man is just so
Sure.
and so on one of the Grump shows, I just basically recreated that arrangement
Oh, wow.
solo with all the chromatic changes and the Coltrane changes on the bridge and everything.
Yeah.
Um, and I did it solo, and I just put it up on YouTube like yesterday.
Oh
I,
shit, I
I,
gotta check it out.
I pulled it out of the show, and as a standalone, and put it up on my YouTube channel. But anyways, to answer your original question, it's just strange that you brought that up. I feel like I'm kind of in a Twilight Zone moment.
Yeah.
I, the whole idea. I mean, I've always been kind of a comedian and telling jokes and hanging and telling stories with my friends. Of course, I grew up with all these great musicians. I mean, I was kind of the young guy that hung out with the old guys.
Hmm.
They're all telling stories, and I'm learning how to tell stories by hearing their stories. And I work with comedians, and then the musicians that I worked with, young, like Richie Cole, Eddie Jefferson, Bobby Hutcherson, Freddie Hubbard, Dizzy Gillespie. These
Wow.
guys were entertainers too. I
That's
mean,
right. Yeah.
you know, but when you're 20 and you're learning how to play, playing is like it's a big hill to climb,
It's hard enough.
and so that's still today, even though I'm like I consider myself an entertainer and a storyteller, the playing is still the big thing there.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it's just a natural, like I'm kind of maybe I guess getting older, more comfortable in the way I play, and so it allows more and more and more of that. It allows me more bandwidth to let that be part of what I am.
Right.
But I do really believe, I mean, I'm not putting down any musician who just plays great. That's enough.
Sure.
There's enough people who love that. That's great. You do not have to entertain people. You can be Keith Jarrett and be an asshole to people.
Yeah.
But you play that good, you're gonna have plenty of people who want to hear you play because that's just earth-shattering, life-shattering music, you know.
Yeah.
But I also believe that I can be on that path playing music and still entertain people and still tell jokes and still make fun of things and not take myself seriously.
Right.
Not a second I don't take the music seriously.
Right.
But making a joke here and there while I'm playing, or I mean, to me that does not that does not denigrate what I'm doing, and that therein lies an aesthetic balance inside of every human being,
Yeah.
and you just have to be real with how you feel about it. And I know damn well. I mean, I do this thing where I play with one finger. You know what I mean? And it started because as a as when I was young, I realized I was playing finger patterns and I hated the sound of it.
Hmm.
So I would practice every day a good bit of time just playing with one finger,
Hmm.
fingers, just because that way I was eliminating all finger patterns.
And no bullshit.
It was all just playing the notes I was hearing, you know,
Right. Yeah.
and I'm really good at it. I mean, I can play with one finger as good as I can play with four,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so on one of my Instagram posts recently, I did one note samba, but I called it the one finger samba. And what I did was I kind of like played when it was the one note, I played the one note with four different fingers, but whenever else I moved around, it was just one finger.
Yeah.
It was,
Wow.
but it was musically. I mean, shut your eyes. I can live with what you heard. I
Sure.
still like.
Sure.
Well, somebody like commented clownish and put like an emoji that was puking.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
that's the internet. You have all these losers, you know.
No, it's cool. That's no. I mean,
Yeah.
I respect that person. That's their opinion. That's the way
Yeah.
they feel about the music. I was
Yeah.
having fun and playing music, and to him, no, it's just playing music. That
But that's hating though, in a way. You know what I mean? You
that
know,
but
it was your way of doing it.
it just insulted his aesthetic, and
Hmm.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, this jazz music that I've been taught to play by all these great people who I could just name names that would impress everybody, because I'm a lucky guy that got to know all those people and play with them. Uh,
Right.
they taught me to be myself,
Right.
to not go along with anything. I mean, this music is about freedom to be yourself. It's not about
Yes.
conforming to what the hot shit is or what some internet troll thinks is the right way to be. So
Right.
at the same time, I have total respect for anybody else's opinion, and
Sure.
nor would I tell them how to play. I don't
Yeah.
expect them to tell me how to play, nor do I expect them to come to my concerts or buy my records, you
Yeah.
know. But in you're talking to a guy that likes to tell jokes, that likes to entertain people, that likes to sing funny songs.
And that's an area that I think, hasn't been a part of jazz for the most part for a long time. Because when I was a kid, I mean, you played with Dizzy. I'm old enough where I saw Dizzy, I saw Miles, I saw
Yeah,
Joe Henderson. Joe Henderson was, much more serious, but Dizzy was an entertainer. Louis Armstrong was always an entertainer. And that seems like it hasn't been a part of jazz for a long time. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It just seems like it hasn't been really,
well,
you know?
I think it's been there, but I think, and I mean, uh, without getting too much in trouble, but what do I care? I'm old, they can't do anything. Um, I think Wynton Marsalis in the early days, when he was anointed the king of jazz, in the late 80s, and he
Yeah.
was doing his Miles-ish
Yeah.
thing, the second quartet kind of vibe, and
Hmm.
it was like there was that moment where, yeah, no, we got to wear suits, which is like, why are we
Yeah.
wearing suits? That's what our fathers wore. We're not
Right.
supposed to, we're a new generation. We're supposed to be different.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In many ways, cowbop was a sort of a knee-jerk reaction to my rejection of that attitude.
Hmm.
Like jazz had gotten so serious and everybody was so into this and like not interacting with the audience. And I'm like, wait a minute here. I played with Dizzy, I played with Bobby, I played with Richie and Eddie. It's like
Right.
these guys didn't feel that I was not taught to be this way. And those guys are have far more credibility to me than these new guys did. And
Right.
so I figure, well, fuck it. This is who I am. I want to do this.
Sure.
And
Right.
so I did it. And believe me, I made plenty of enemies.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, I made plenty of friends. And I think the ultimate irony here is that Wynton Marsalis now, as leader of Lincoln Center,
Right.
is has come full circle.
He has.
Now a highly entertaining human,
Yes.
highly affable, very open-minded about everything. Hell, he records with Willie Nelson now.
And
And I
Eric Clapton.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and the Muppets, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
and I mean, and I think it's great. I think, he's grown up and he realizes that it's better to bring more people in. And you can't take one thing away from that guy. He plays his fucking ass off.
When I was in high school, he was a major, major part of my upbringing because when he was the whole Young Lions thing was when I was in high school. And I love him for making everyone, like a lot of people hate him. Oh, he made jazz go backwards. But to me, he kind of reset jazz where it was like, we got to remember how to swing. We got to remember that there's blues. And that
You're,
was forgotten about.
you're young, because before that, there was a whole period of him before that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. When he was doing the Miles stuff.
I'm talking about the 80s, late
Yeah,
80s,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
early
yeah.
90s. That was a different Wynton than the importance of Duke Ellington and swing and the history
Right,
and the
right,
land.
right. That came later.
Uh, that was a big change,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, in him.
Yeah,
He put his brother down for playing with Sting.
right.
And I mean, it was great. Branford and Kenny Kirkland and those guys were like bringing Sting's music, to a new place, and there was a million new fans
Yeah.
for the music. It was great.
I
It's like,
saw that band live. They were fantastic. Loved
right.
it.
And I mean, whether you like it or not, my point is, it was great. It
Yeah.
was it was a statement that this music is current, it's viable, it's alive, and new people are playing it, and we're ready to hear where it's going to go. You know,
Yeah.
and so, and Witten, to his credit, and in my opinion, I just saw him in New York last January, and talked to him, and I mean, to his credit, he's an incredibly generous, intelligent player. As like I said before, the guy playing wise, he's great.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
serious about it. And I would like people to think the same about me. My playing,
Sure.
I mean, as much as I kid around or talk about shit or pontificate or rant or whatever I do,
Yeah.
I mean, the playing, I'm dedicated to
Of
this.
course.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm a historian, but I'm also trying to move it into the future. I'm mentoring young people, and I'm not mentoring them to be a bunch of fucking museum pieces. I
Right.
want them to be the new vanguard of whatever the next thing is.
Right. Right.
And I don't have a dog in that fight. It's up to them to find it, because basically the guys before me told me the same thing.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's totally true, man. Where do you think, like, I know, I mean, you can, when you think about the jazz of today, how to me, and I'm open to everything. I love the entire history of jazz. I love Django Reinhardt to Kurt Rosenwinkel. I love it all. But what do you think about a lot of the jazz that's getting further and further away from its roots, like the swing roots and the blues roots? Like, do you enjoy that, or it's weird? I'm kind of in the middle on that.
Well, I mean, you're asking an aesthetic question, what I like
Yeah.
and don't like. There are parts of all of it that I really like a lot, but it generally
Right.
comes down to who's playing it.
Yeah.
Uh, as a style in general, the rejection of swinging and the blues
Hmm.
doesn't do a lot for me unless the guys are seriously on another wavelength, introducing something that is just so earth-shatteringly
Right.
beautiful and soulful. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, the just intellectual and virtuosic isn't enough.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah. I'm with you on that because like there's a certain feeling that some of these players, like a lot of them are doing things that I definitely cannot do and I don't even understand what it is. It's almost like they're
Yeah.
speaking a new language that I don't get, but I respect it. And some of it I really do like and some of it I don't like, but man, when it comes down to it, like when you hear Wes or Kenny Burrell or whoever, it's just
Well,
like,
and
oh man.
yeah, I know, but that's your aesthetic,
That's
and
my aesthetic, exactly.
beautiful, and that's what the world is. That's great.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, it's just, for me, and I'm the same as you. If I hear Wes, I mean, you just can't hear any. You hear Bird, you hear Art Tatum.
Yeah.
Nothing's better than that. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
but then there are guys playing today doing new stuff that like is equally devastating. And
Sure.
but
Yeah.
there does seem to be a rejection of swinging and the blues in the context I think that you mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and I think that's natural just for another generation.
Yeah.
I had a student once tell me not too long ago. They came over, took a lesson, and we played a tune. I don't know, it was probably like Janine or one of those kind of in the pocket tunes,
Mhm.
a Horace Silver tune, something like that, strolling, whatever. And at the end, I said, I can't help but notice, but I don't hear any blues references or bluesiness in your play.
Yeah. Right.
And they were the one that picked the tune that was a kind of a
It's a
grooving.
bluesy tune. Yeah.
And they looked at me and they said, and they were in their late teens, good player, and they said, "Oh, the blues is corny."
Wow.
And
Yeah.
now I know they probably heard that from a teacher or from their peers. That's not something that somebody just comes up with on their own, I don't think.
Well, that's because they haven't heard it. You
Well,
can't say that if you haven't heard, if you've heard it.
yeah, you're in a club, and and the whole thing is getting away from that, because the old people, that corny stuff, the old people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I looked and I said, okay, I'm not going to argue with you about it, but you need to do yourself a favor and listen to this music that I'm going to give you, and you make a decision whether you really feel that at the end of that. That's all I'm
Right.
asking.
You
I'm
sure?
not,
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and convince you otherwise, but I want you to listen to like Albert King, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Gene Ammons, Charlie
Hmm.
Parker, you know what I mean? Horace
Yeah.
Silver.
Hmm.
I want you to listen to these people, and Kenny Burrell. And
Hmm.
I want you to decide for yourself that that's corny. I think you might be mistaken. I understand you don't want to sound like a bunch of old people.
Hmm.
I'm cool with that. So, but I think you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. I never saw that person again, so I don't know what the effect of that was.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
but
yeah.
it showed me, and then when I listen to a lot of players today, I hear basically, if not just a total non-existence of that, but I almost a rejection of
Yeah. That's what I don't
it. And
understand.
that's cool. I mean, that sometimes in order to define your thing or your generation or your statement, you have
Yeah.
to reject what came before you. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and again, as a person who was, I really feel I was mentored by the best. I think they would hit me in the back of the head if I were to like say, "Hey, no, you got to dig this,"
Yeah. That's true.
they would all go, "What the fuck are you talking about? We never told you that," and I mean,
Right. Right.
how did you get that idea? To the extent that you play the way like we play was because you wanted to, not because we told you to.
Right. Right.
And so I'm very careful to be mindful of that, but I'm also very much like, hey, if you don't like the fact that I tell jokes and I sing funny songs in the middle of shit, and I like
Yeah.
have a good time while I'm playing,
Yeah.
well, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're asking me to do something that I won't do.
Right. You got to be yourself.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Which is, and so, hey, you don't dig it, like I say, write a little emoji with a puker on it. I mean, that's cool. That's
Or
your,
don't listen. You
yeah,
could do
go,
that too.
yeah, go somewhere else. I mean, it's okay. I got no problem.
Yeah.
Write a bad review. That's all right.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, just don't expect me to do what you want me to do, because that's just not that's not the spirit or the ethos of this music.
Right. Right. I also notice in pop music too that there's some artists like Adele who has a bluesy element to her voice, but in most pop music that you hear, there's almost no blues anymore as well. So it's not just the jazz thing. It's almost like in the American culture, the blues elements just disappearing, which, like you said, could be a new era. You know, I'm I know, I'm somewhat getting old, but part of me is like, maybe I'm just a dinosaur. Maybe that's just what I like to
Well,
hear.
we all eventually become that. We can't help it.
Yeah,
But
right.
I mean, it's an interesting time because culturally, uh, with what we're going through with diversity issues,
Hmm.
um, you could just as soon as see a pendulum swing where we're back in the blues again,
Could be.
as much as you could see that the blues will be gone forever. I mean, you could make an argument for both of those sides
Yeah.
happening in the future. Uh, And frankly, nothing lasts forever. Baroque music didn't,
That's
classical
true.
period didn't, and things move on. And I mean, all those people dressing like Django and playing D-hole guitars, it's kind of cute. It's like in a weird way, it's almost nostalgia. You know what I mean? And
Sure, sure.
it's just these guys are playing their asses off, and they're amazing artists. It is kind of like a cult of people who were living 100 years ago.
Do you think there's room for all of that? Because like to me, like I want to live in a world where someone can play 1950s bebop guitar, 1950s blues, or super ultra modern hip jazz that's futuristic. Like I kind of want to live in a world where it all exists.
Well, we
You know what I
do,
mean?
and that's a beautiful thing, and I totally agree with you. And I think those I call them the D-hole Nazis, the one who like you have to play the pump just like the band of Django, and you have
Yeah.
to have the equipment. You have, and you can't, no bebop allowed
Right.
in the phrasing and da 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 da. I really
Yeah.
love that music, and I think those guys
Sure.
are great. And I also love the guys who have stretched it and probably are not looked or frowned upon by those other guys.
Yeah.
Guys like Borelli,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
who's kind of like done something new with it,
Yeah.
and or Sylvan Luke and those guys, is like, whoa, I mean, to me, it's all great, or guy
Yeah.
like Martin Taylor who can go down the Django road, but turn around and and be like Joe Pass, and then turn around and be like a bebop mother. I mean, it's like I think we live in that world, and I think it's great. But there are people who just believe in certain cliques, and
Yeah.
but I here's where I think the important thing is for me is I don't care if you're playing trad jazz or gypsy jazz or modern jazz or avant-garde jazz or hard bop or bebop. I don't care. What
Yeah.
I care is that it's alive today. I
Right.
don't want to hear you kind of recreating the 50s. I don't want to
Yeah.
hear you recreating the 20s. I don't want to
Right.
hear you recreating the 90s. I want to hear you alive today telling me your story.
Yeah.
And that's where I have a problem, is where it's
Yeah.
sort of a retro
Yeah.
concept. Fuck that. They already did
Yeah.
it. Those guys did it great. Take
Yeah.
and do it great yourself, but do it your way. I mean, that's
Yeah.
all those guys would tell you, don't do it my way, do it your way.
Right.
They
That's
would come
true.
back, they would come back from the fucking grave and kick these people in the butt, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Who the fuck do you think you are playing my solos on Facebook?
Sure. Yeah. That's one thing I don't
I,
get.
I played them pretty fucking good, I think.
Right.
Why
Yeah.
play your own? I mean,
I,
I not only played it, I was making it up at the time. What the
right.
fuck is this like recreating my shit? Who the fuck
Yeah.
ever told you that was cool?
Well, I remember you talked about that on Guitar Wank, and I'm in the same boat where, like, when someone will play some famous solo, and I'm like, why would you do that? Just let me hear you improvise over a tune yourself, and let's see how that sounds. Even if it's good or bad or whatever, it doesn't matter because it's you. Like, if you can play a West solo, who cares?
That is very much my opinion, and this is not a put down to all of my friends who've done it. I can
Yeah,
play numerous solos note for note.
yeah.
I
Doesn't
can.
matter though. Yeah,
You'll never hear me do it.
right.
There have been times on a gig when I knew I wasn't being recorded, where I might even like get up to the mic saying, "This is what Charlie Christian played," and
Sure.
I'll play his chorus.
As a tribute.
Yeah, but I'll never record it or put it on Facebook. I mean, because that's just proving you know something. That is
Yeah,
so much not the spirit of music. The
right.
spirit of music is to create something to make the people who listen to you feel something other than,
Right.
oh, you're really smart, or oh, you're better than me. That is some fucked up shit, man, in your
Yeah. Yeah, just go on there and play some music, man. That's it.
yeah,
Play a
what's wrong
tune.
with that? And if you can't,
Yeah.
then fucking get it together, man.
Right, right, right.
You know, I mean, I do a chorus a day on Instagram, and I've done it for probably the whole pandemic. So there's probably what now 150 of them, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I am never practicing,
yeah.
never.
Just playing.
I'm always playing.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
it. Yeah, yeah.
play in public and practice in private. That's it.
I hear you, man.
And
That's
and,
it.
and transcriptions are okay. I mean, of course we all learn them. How else do we learn to speak but by
Right,
by speaking the way our heroes speak?
right.
But
But why show the world your transcription? Like that's what
exactly,
you do in
it's like
private.
everybody's got a penis, but we don't walking around with it hanging out. We don't like wave it around in public.
Unless you're gonna want to go to jail. Hey, I another question. Your junkyard duo, I really dig that stuff, and I know that you're using some kind of a the metal instrument, the
Resonator guitar. Yeah.
yes, yes. Is that like is it just a resonator, or is it some kind of, because it has a very unique metallic kind of sound to it that really, when I listen to it, it pushes you in a different direction, kind of. I mean, you're still you, but
Yeah.
it just has an ethereal kind of thing that's different than like the Sonantag would give you, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, what happened? I guess I got to go back to getting that guitar. Uh,
Hmm.
I used to, my band Cowbop, we used to do these Route 66 road tours, and we'd play on the street a lot. And the band was very much predicated, as you've heard, on like the guitar and the horn playing lines together, like Donna Lee kind of just breaking up in the
Yeah,
middle
like
of,
shout choruses type of
yeah,
thing.
shout, like bebop, soli, shout choruses in the
Hmm.
middle of Bob Will's experience.
Yeah.
And the arch top just didn't have the acoustic gas outside without an amp to hold up with the horn. They didn't have the sustain, the legato, and the volume. So I decided to look for the loudest guitar I could tolerate playing.
Hmm.
And I went through flat tops like dreadnoughts, like the J200 Gibson and the D18, D28, and they all just kind of died. The notes just died. It never really worked. And then I played some resonators, and they were like cannons. And there's a sustain in them.
Mm.
And so a friend of mine ran National Guitars at the time. He's since passed away. And they've really done an amazing. Actually, the new National guitars, I know the old ones are worth more, but the new ones are way better made. They stay in tune. The necks are great. They got CNC machines, and they like figured out what really made the old ones good, and we can recreate it but better.
Hmm. Right. Yeah.
And so they made me a guitar because I found that I liked the tricone better than the pan, the big pan, and it was a little less, sounding, a little
Yeah.
more natural sounding. And if you go back to even like the Lonnie Johnson days,
Hmm.
he was playing a tricone because it kind of sounded more like a guitar and less like a dobro kind of, that.
I didn't know he played a dobro.
Oh yeah, no, he recorded a lot of stuff with that,
Oh
and
wow.
and the jazz guys, all who were transitioning from banjo to guitar, but didn't have amps yet, were all using the tricones in the jazz world. In
Hmm.
the Delta blues and slide, they were using what was called a pan, the big one,
Right.
12-inch. And so the tricone has three like 4-inch cones, and so I like the tricone. And they had this mahogany one, which was real dark sounding, which I liked, kind of more
Hmm.
archtop jazzy. And then I talked him into making it with a cutaway so I could get up the neck on it. So he made, I mean, it's their M1 tricone, it's called. And I got it and I played it on the street, and damn, that thing was fucking loud. And it was
Wow.
great. It was great.
Yeah.
And I wanted to put a pickup on it in case I wanted to play it through an amp. And those microphones just seem to magnify all the worst parts, not the good
Hmm.
parts. So we just put a magnetic pickup at the end of the neck, just like a regular electric guitar. And
Mhm.
it's like, hey, if I'm going to be playing so loud through the amp, you're not going to hear the guitar anyways. Might as well have a pleasing sound, you know. And then with Junkyard Duo in most clubs, we played so soft that I could kind of blend the amp with the acoustic. We were at that level. And,
Yeah.
and then the drummer was always playing percussion. So, you know, like in like effect, you know, like junk basically. That's the whole idea of Junkyard
Yeah.
Duo. So I had a junky sound on the guitar, and then the drummer was forced not to play a drum set. He had like tin cans and salt shakers and brake drums and all sorts of shit like that. So we figured if we just threw ourselves into this sonic junk pile, that whatever came out musically would be really interesting, because we were kind of like taking two guys and throwing them on Mars and saying, well, you got to make something happen. Okay, well,
Yeah.
you know, we've got our experience and we know how to play, so we'll just kind of try and make this shit work some way, you know, and let the
Yeah.
instrument tell us what to do. And so, um, and around then, you know, I was having trouble just getting bass players to play gigs. They're all working so much. So it was just easier to play with a drummer. I've played just duo with drums my whole life. I love doing that. And I'm a pretty full guitar player, as you know. Um, so that's how Junkyard Duo got born, and we would play like all the hipster bars in LA. You know, we were like
Yeah.
working all the time. It
Yeah.
was great. And so we finally decided Jake Reed was the main drummer of it,
Sure.
and Jay Bellerose.
Right.
And and so we just decided to make a record of it, you know, and then we decided to go one step further and say, well, let's just do everything under a minute so that people can make videos for it and put it on YouTube. I mean,
Right.
Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah.
So it was sort of like an open source idea. You know, we'll make this music, and if you have an idea for a video that goes along with this music, you can use it for free. Just take it and do your thing. You
Well,
know?
that was the thing I was going to tell you. Like, to me, it a lot of it's very cinematic, like that song "Chain Gang." You know, I could see that used in a movie. So I'm wondering if you. I know you did that amazing soundtrack for Million Dollar Baby, which I totally love that one. But uh, it seems to me you could do that concept for a soundtrack, because it really Bill Frisell does a lot of that too. You know.
No, you know, like a New Paris, Texas kind of movie, right?
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
Cool Hand Luke. Yeah, totally. Um, and you know, I'd love to do it. So if anybody's listening, you know, I mean, check out the record. There is no amp in that. That's all
Yeah.
acoustic resonator on that.
And it
And
has a lot of overtones too to the sound.
well, of course it does. That's the thing about a resonator, is it, like,
Hmm.
particularly a tricone, incredible amounts of like sustain and reverb and overtones. And I mean,
Hmm.
and in order to make that guitar sound good, you have to have really thick strings.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, that is a bitch to play, that guitar. You have to have high action and you have to have thick strings, because that guitar
Wow.
will not respond
Hmm.
unless you do. So that, you know, that in there like forces me to play different, because there's just things I know I'm not going to be able to get out, you know.
Right. Right. To dig in hard.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm glad you liked it. It was a really fun project. I kind of often think of like, what if somebody didn't know who I was, and just that's all they ever heard about me. I wonder what their picture of me would be, you know, according to reality.
It still sounds like you though. I mean, I hear the bebop thing going on, but I mean, it's definitely more open.
Yeah.
But it's not like you're becoming someone else though, which is what you wouldn't want to do that anyway. You know, it's definitely you.
Well, that's good to hear. You know, I mean, but I always, you know, I mean, not that I worry about it, but it'd be fun to like meet somebody who didn't know who I was and heard that record, and then, you know, like heard me play normally. And say,
Yeah.
oh, you know, or maybe, yeah, no big deal, not much different, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, because for when you do it, you're so subjective. You know, it's like
Yeah.
everything you do, it's me. I mean, I was sitting in that chair playing that music. I'm sitting in this chair playing this music. That's all the same, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just not that kind of player who, like I got my Telly me and I got my L5 me and I got my, whatever me, my acoustic me. I'm just like, I'm just me telling my story and whatever. I mean, if you were to right now hand me a classical guitar or even a piano, I would just, or a drum set, I would still be me,
yeah, yeah.
So
But that being said, I remember you had mentioned like when you were talking about your Sonatec guitar that I mean you're always you no matter what, but when you play your L5, you have that ghost of Wes Montgomery and Kenny Burrell there, where when you play the Sonatag, you don't have that. I
that's
found that really interesting when you said that because
and that's really true.
yeah, I agree.
Um, and I don't know that if you heard me play on either one, you'd even hear a difference,
But in your mind, it's different.
but for me, I do. For me, that's
Yeah,
something I noticed is like because I recently I had a tuning peg issue with my Sontag, and so I played my L5 for a second, and I noticed it right away. I went like, "Whoa, this feels very," you know, I couldn't help but, you know, it's even more big the difference now because I've been pretty much just on this guitar for so long.
and does it feel weird because you always played an L5, so it's like it's kind of home for you, but not anymore? Maybe is
No,
that
no,
weird?
totally home for me. And there's another guitar that I made that was my Ibanez that I played for 20 years. It was just basically a copy of an L5
Yeah,
with a smaller body. Uh, and yeah, so that has been my sound for my whole career until this guitar,
yeah.
and frankly, it's not really that different. I mean, I sit and listen to it, and I don't. I mean, I hear a difference, but it's not enough to like for anybody to go, "Wow, I liked him on the L5 better." I mean, it's
Yeah, it's
just
not gonna. You're always gonna sound like you.
yeah, yeah. So but there is a clarity to the low end of the acoustic qualities of the Sontag um, that I like a lot. There's a immediacy of the response, but there's oftentimes a harshness because amplifiers have a more difficult time amplifying the sound of this guitar
Yeah,
than because the L5 is a far more electric guitar than this.
yeah,
And
because
and we all know that amplifiers really have a hard time with reproducing acoustic sound.
and
You know,
floating pickups
that's
too.
Paul knew, and that's what Leo Fender knew, and why the Telly and the Strat and the Les Paul are all such great electric guitars is because they wanted to get the acoustic out of the way because it was fucking with it all.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm kind of going the opposite direction
Yeah.
of that. And so there are challenges to playing this guitar at volume, rooms, amps, other musicians, lots of things really, it can get harsh. Whereas the L5 is no matter how loud you get with that thing, it's always sweet and honey,
Yeah.
fills up all the spaces.
Yeah. That's wild. Yeah, I've never been a fan of floating pickup arch tops. Is because I don't like the floating pickup. But you get a great sound out of yours. So, I have to look
There's
around.
something that changed the game for me.
Hmm.
Um, when I decided that the red guitar was going to be my main project going forward, I made like a conscious decision that I wanted to really spend some time working on my storytelling skills and my writing skills and my performing skills without a band around me. And obviously, this is the red guitar. This guitar inspired that story. So um, I knew I was married to that guitar for that project, but the original plan was even though I realized it wasn't a great idea, was to play the L5 everywhere else and just play the red guitar when I did the show.
Hmm.
And but of course I realized that, both from a musical perspective of being on the same instrument all the time and just bonding with it, and the marketing side of just being branded to a red guitar,
Yeah.
everything was better for me if that became my guitar for every situation. But the problem was, as you found with floating pickups, there are inherent difficulties. One is they get harsh when they can get loud. The other is they feedback horribly. Um, those elements. And I found a set of strings, a kind of string that mitigated the um, the feedback issues and
Hmm.
the balance issues that I was having. Like, as I mean, to me, an L5 is too big in the bottom and a little bit too thin on the top. That's
Hmm.
my problem with it in general. This guitar, that times five with
Hmm.
regular electric strings,
Yeah.
that's a problem. And that's why it fed back always. If you hit it like E flat on the A string or an E on the A string, fifth or sixth fret, seventh fret,
Hmm.
the thing would just like start screaming.
Right. Right.
And I've endorsed Dario strings for like the last 20 years, and they make great strings. And just they sent out a thing about these new strings they'd invented for bluegrass players called
Hmm.
nickel bronze. They just infused nickel alloy into the bronze string so that the bluegrassers would be louder and they would cut better. Because like a flat picking guitar solo in a bluegrass band is like a bass solo in a jazz band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's like burning in the bluegrass band and everything's going good, and then the flat pick guitar solo, everybody's super quiet. The guy you can barely.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea with that was to give it more cut, in an
Yeah.
acoustic situation. So I called my rep and I said, dude, these nickel bronze strings, like, I've always loved bronze strings, but when you play them electrically, there's just not enough ferrous metal to, I mean, you just can't hear the low notes,
Mm.
and he says, I said, what's the composite? It's like 50-50, 80-20. What are you doing? He says, I don't know. He says, shit, I'll send you some. See what you like. So, so he sent me a set and I put them on, and immediately it was like I had it.
Mm.
What it did was, where I had this instrument that had this huge bottom end and kind of a thin top end, it flipped the paradigm to now those two, the B and the E string melody strings were big and fat and luscious, and the lower strings were kind of underpowered and clear. Of course, it meant that I had to turn up the guitar louder and
Yeah.
louder because let's face it, there's not as much magnetism going into the pickup. So by turning it up, that made the high notes fat, because it's gain. And but meanwhile, it stopped feeding back, and I could play big chord solos at loud volumes with like an organ trio. I don't have problems anymore. I did have to adjust the pole pieces. The B string had to be really taken way down. That fucker is hotter than
You're talking your son tag all this.
yeah. I mean, anybody who uses these strings, I'm going to tell you, if you try to put them on, even on, and I think it'd be good on an archtop with built-in pickups, the B string is going to be seriously powerful. So you're going to
Mm-hmm.
want to, and it is normally on a guitar. So you're going to want to like take them way down low, or even take the pole piece out. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? And that's all you need to do. And then adjust them a little bit, maybe bring up the D and G and kind of pull back the low E and A, but not, I mean, little minor adjustments, and you can balance it out. And now I've got this guitar that I got these sweet, fat, high notes, and I've got clear low notes. Whereas what I used to have, even on my L5, is like these, almost like an electric bass on the low E and A,
Wow.
and then and it's not that the high B and E aren't sweet and fat, but they're just in comparison, they're kind of gutless. Dig?
Hmm.
So it's always been a problem with archtop guitars to me.
Do you
Guys,
find a difference? I'm sorry, go ahead.
guys like Kenny Burrell work around it really well. I mean,
Hmm.
as far as I'm concerned, no one got a better sound out of an archtop than that.
I know.
Wes, of course, with his thumb, he's in a whole league of his own.
Yeah.
Barney really, he had that Charlie Christian pickup to begin with, and he had super thick strings. So, and a really hard attack. So, you know
When
what I
he
mean? It's
tore it
like,
up.
and it sounded great.
Yeah.
To me, these strings have made it so that I could play this guitar in every situation, every day, no matter what. And then there's no looking back, really. I mean, it's been 4 years now or so.
Does it prefer like your like a solid state amp or your Fender Vibrolux? You have a Vibrolux, right? Or you
I
have
have
the
oh shit, I got a Vibrolux, I've got a Pro Reverb, I've got a Henriksen,
mhm.
and I've got a Quilter,
Okay.
and
So did
they're all great. I mean,
okay.
I between you and me, I don't like carrying tubes around unless I'm going into the studio.
Yeah.
They're fragile, they're unreliable. You hit a speed bump, whatever, they wear out.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm just tired of, first of all, carrying around that much weight, and second of all, not knowing whether it's going to work when I get there.
Right. You
Uh, so,
know,
so basically, like if I've got a record date, I mean, I've got a Dumble amp. I've got
I
a Dumble.
know.
I've got a Dumble Vibrolux. He calls it his Ultraphonics mod, and I
Yeah.
generally use that in the studio. That's
That's gotta be unbelievable.
it's a beautiful sounding amp.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Vibrolux, I play a lot of chords aggressively. You've heard,
Hmm.
and that amp can't hang on a live gig. It would break
Yeah.
up. I need to play it too soft. It's because of the way I play. Its sweet spot of gain is too soft for a normal gig. So
Yeah.
I need the Pro Reverb. You know,
Yeah.
I need a 45, at least 50-watt amp with two 12s that are rated be past that, so that I can like lay on some chords and not have them be that you can't hear the notes in them. But both of my solid state amps have no problem with that.
Hmm.
And in outdoors particularly, I think the solid state amps sound much better.
Hmm.
In a great room, the tube amp is better. There's no doubt about it.
You know what you have to check out? I don't know if you have or not, but Fender has these new Tone Master amps. I don't know if you know much about them, but I have the Deluxe Reverb, and it's basically a modeling amp. But when you look at the amp, it looks exactly like a 65 Deluxe Reverb, and it doesn't do anything else than a Deluxe Reverb. Because you know how some amps have like
Yeah.
25 models? This is only a Deluxe Reverb, and they have all the power into just modeling one model. And I swear to God, it
So,
sounds
but
fantastic.
it break up where a deluxe breaks up, because
Yep,
that would not work for me
but they
because
do a twin.
is it heavy?
No, the Deluxe you can pick up with your pinky. The
So
twin is a little heavier.
yeah, what about like do they do a pro too? Because
Not
that
yet, not yet, but you can get an 85-watt twin that is very light because it's got Neo speakers. There's no tubes, so there's no worry about reliability. Pine cabinet, so it's very resonant and light. The speakers are Neo speakers, 85 watts, but it has an attenuator on there. So you can make it go down to 40, 20,
oh
10.
and then, okay, yeah.
And I'm telling you, you might like that. And it's very tubey sounding. Very.
You know, in my studio here, there's this guy who makes Fender. I don't know what they call them, clones or whatever. Vintage sound amps.
I had one of those. They're great.
Great, I've got one right here. I love
Yeah.
it. Of course, the tube. There's always a tube issue, but I mean, that guitar sounds so That amp sounds so great. I've
Yeah.
got I had 2 of his amps. One I sold. Rick Hayes. He makes
Hmm.
great amps.
Yep.
Great amps. I mean, it's like what Fender wanted all their amps to sound like. This is it.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess on Guitar Wank, I was complaining one day, like, why the hell can't somebody make a transistor amp that doesn't sound muddy and like a polytone? It sounds like a tube amp, I mean,
Right.
plenty of air and high end and that kind of thing. And the guys must have heard me because they called me like a couple of weeks later and they said, Bruce, we've got something we want to show you. We're working on this new thing. We want to bring it to you and have you try it out. And it was their 101. It was, I've got it. I'm playing through it right now in my
The
studio.
quilter.
A Quilter 101, and it's
Yeah.
like a 2-pound head.
Hmm.
It's like carrying a little like a Bible around. I mean,
Right. Right.
it's got a little carrying case. Very fashionable, and
Yeah.
and and right now I'm running it through the speaker that is in the vintage sound, and it's a Weber speaker, and um, it sounds great. Just sounds
Yeah.
great. I mean, it's
Yeah.
wide open, it's airy, got a lot of brightness. It's got an attenuator for power.
Hmm.
It's got reverb. I use that. I mean, I love my Henriksen amp. I've got a Bud. I got a Bud 6, but I've also got the Bud 10, and I like
Hmm.
the 10 better. It's way
Hmm.
more airy sounding than the 6. I love the 6 for a small gig, when it's a tough load in. But the 10 is also an amp that I just would never, ever have a problem playing on any gig.
Right.
I love the Quilter. The Quilter sounds different. The Fender sounds different. I love them all. I mean,
Yeah. They're all different.
yeah, it's like I'm a jazz musician. The whole idea is I'm supposed to make the best out of what I got.
Hmm.
I mean, if I bring my Fender to 3 different rooms, it sounds 3 different ways anyways.
Sure.
I mean, this is the classic argument I have with Scott on our podcast, as I'm sure you know. Is like
Yeah.
he's got this sound in his mind that he's got to get, and if he
Yeah.
doesn't get it, he's a piece of shit for the whole gig.
Right.
And it's like, how can you possibly do that with the acoustics, with the people you're playing with the
Yeah.
sound man?
It's gonna make it happen.
I mean, it's always going to be different.
Right.
You gotta like deal. You got a baseline that you got something, and you get what you get, and then you deal with it, and you make it better. I mean,
Yeah.
and the one thing you never let is anything get in the way of a less than great performance, because you owe that to the audience.
Sure.
So but that's, to him it's like, if I don't get my sound, it's just the gig is just, I'm just like taking a poop on the stage, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I mean,
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
going to die on that bandstand with whatever sound I get, and I'm going to try and figure out how to make the music with it. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fortunate. I've got a bunch of great amps, and they all sound great. They all inspire me to play, and
Right.
don't get in my way.
Yeah.
That's all I can ask for from the amp.
Well, keeping it simple helps a lot, because when you're an electric guitar player with a lot of effects and stuff, there's way more problems that can happen as opposed to a guitar and an amp in your
Yeah,
hands.
that's
And I
true.
mean, Scott would sound great through anything anyway. He's probably being hard on himself, just like
He is.
Holdsworth always was.
He's crazy. He's crazy.
Yeah.
But he's a fucking genius. I mean, you've heard
Sure.
him
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
It's like, god damn. I mean, I have nothing but respect. I don't agree with him, but I have nothing but respect.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
And so, so I'm really happy. And by the way, I just want to let your listeners know that Peter Henriksen, because of COVID and all the craziness in the world, has decided to start selling his amps direct to customers. He's not going through dealers anymore.
Okay.
And if people call him in order want to get an amp, if they use my name, they'll get a discount. I don't know what the discount is. but you get
Okay.
a discount by just saying, "Hey, Bruce Forman," boom, and you'll get a discount buying one of those amps. And they are, without a doubt, the best combo lightweight multi-purpose amps in the world. I mean, I've not seen anything better. You know what I mean?
I gotta check them out.
Granted, they're not, to a guy that wants the screaming, sparkling headroom of a twin or a, something. It's not really in that amp. Although I brought the Bud to Alexander Dumble when he was making my amp.
Hmm.
And I can't believe, because I've heard of stories of like him hating people because they brought an amp in and they infected all of his amps or some shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which he's kind of tweaky. I mean, as everybody knows.
Yeah.
But he is one of the nicest people you could ever meet. I mean,
Right.
a lot of the shit you hear is just fucking mythology. That guy has ears that can hear around the corner. He's unbelievably considerate and gracious.
Mm.
Um, but we were there and he was making it like a champ. He had a champ that he was like modifying to do his thing. So, man, really, I've got this little amp that I use a lot on like gigs where I have to go up 2 flights of stairs or I'm doing a jam session or something. And it has a second input you could sing in it or 2 guitars could play. He says, really? I said, it's solid state. He says, yeah, really? He's like asking. I said, yeah, it's in my car. Do you want to hear it? He says, yeah. So
Uh-huh.
I got it and I put it out and, plugged it in and we played my guitar through it. And then he played his guitar through it. And then we both played together in it. And he's turning knobs and he was going, man, you know what I like about it? I mean, every one of these knobs does exactly what they say they do.
Wow.
Like, this is this part of the spectrum. This is this part of, yeah. I mean, this is really a well-made thing. He was like, I'm
Yeah.
impressed here.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, he didn't say he loved the sound of it or any of that, I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
but he was super impressed with it,
Yeah. He's
and,
he's a genius, man.
and we stayed friends. I mean, I didn't get like you can't ever come to my house because your amp infected all my amps and shit,
Do you think you could ever get him on Guitar Wank, or he wouldn't do it?
I've been trying for years. I don't think so, no.
Man, because he's like the enigmatic genius kind of
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, and yeah. I mean, and I think the times that he's done it, they didn't work out so well. I mean, like those videos with Henry Kaiser and shit.
Hmm.
Those are really not. They don't make him look good, So,
I haven't seen those. I have to watch those.
God, that's some fucking great shit.
Well, I love the Henry Kaiser on Guitar Wank. I mean, that was a great interview.
Yeah,
He's
well,
definitely an interesting guy.
yeah, but no, there's like I think there's 4 parts of it. And like Val McCallum and I, we send each other, like it's time. Have you listened to this in the last 6 months? You need to listen to this again. And
Wow.
just so out. It's just so beautifully out.
Is it still on YouTube?
I'm sure, yeah.
Okay, I gotta look it up.
I mean, I bet it's got millions of hits. It's almost like my Christmas tape.
I gotta check that out, man. That would be so cool to hear that. I can't imagine what it must have been like with a guy like that, and because I know with him, like he chooses you in a way. Like if someone like me said to him, "I wanted you to make me an amp," like it's not gonna happen. But for
Right.
someone like you, he respects you and you're an artist, and he'll say yes. And a lot of other famous artists, he won't say yes. He'll say no. You could be Eddie Van Halen and he might say no. God bless Eddie Van Halen, but you know what I mean?
Right, which would be a big mistake on his part. But
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, I got his email from a mutual friend, and I just said, man, I've played because this mutual friend loaned me his amp to play on a gig.
Yeah.
I was up in like the Bay Area, and he says, "Hey, I got this great Dumble amp. You want to play it on the gig? I'll bring it."
Wow.
I said, "Shit, yeah." So he brings this amp, and it was like great, and man, it sounded great. And I was playing the Sontag. It was with an organ trio gig, and so he gave me his email, and I just like sent a complimentary note, like, "Man, I just got to say I played this guy's amp, and I really loved it. Congratulations. And if you'd ever consider making an amp for me, I'd be really happy, to get involved in that."
Mhm.
Never heard back. Never heard back. Months went by, never heard back. And then this guy came to my house, and he had another Dumble amp that he loved a lot that he wanted me to play. So he brought the amp, and he recorded, he videoed me on his phone playing through it,
Mhm.
and he sent it to Alexander. And like 2 days later or a day later, I get an email saying, "I'd love to make you an amp. Why don't you come to my house, talk about what you want, and we'll do it. And
Wow.
bring your guitar because I want to hear it, in my music room so that I can, really dial it in." I'm sure in my email I'd said, that I'm playing this guitar with a floating pickup, and she's kind of picky about, the amps can get harsh and blah 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 blah. And so yeah, I went over, and it was like an audition. I played for him, and then he took the guitar, and he pointed out acoustic things about the guitar that I was not aware of.
Wow.
He says, the harmonic at the ninth fret, that's really pronounced on your guitar. That's not really normal, you know. And he says, and it's balanced. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he went and he played the harmonics there, and they all kind of rang, and you could hear all six of the strings. He says, that's really rare in an acoustic guitar. So, whoa. It's like, here
Yeah.
playing this thing for, well, I've had it for 15 years and never would have even dawned on me. And like just him hearing me play it, and I never played the harmonics, and yet
Yeah.
he knew when he did that what he was going to get.
And that affected how you voiced your amp.
Yeah, and that effect, he says, um, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, just there are certain freaks in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's one of them. And,
So he didn't build you a new amp. He tweaked one of your amps
he
then.
did build it. I mean, he basically took the chassis of a Fender Vibrolux
Okay.
and, and rebuilt it. It doesn't look at all
Okay.
like Vibrolux anymore.
Hmm.
He showed me what it looked like, and he goops it. I mean, he puts silicone so you can't see what he did.
That's great.
Well, I mean, all you need is a heat gun, and you can get that off and figure it out.
Yeah. Well, everyone copies him. He doesn't want to.
Yeah, yeah, but it would be a pain in the ass,
Wow.
and so and he told me, I wanted to keep the original speakers because I just loved the way they sounded. He says, but they're not going to work for you. They're not going to work for you. And I said, I want to keep them. I want to keep them,
Uh,
And about a month later, I was back, and we changed them out.
what did he want you to put in there?
He wanted Celestians in there.
Mm.
I don't know whether they're the creambacks, I guess. He
Oh,
said
okay.
he said for you need more power in the speaker. These speakers are not rated high enough. You're gonna push them, and the speakers are gonna give out before the amp does. And you really would prefer to have amp breakup to speaker breakup. And I'm like, no, I like these speakers. Well,
He
when we,
knows.
yeah, he knew. Yeah.
Oh man, what a great story, man. That's awesome. I hope I'm not keeping you too long. Are you getting tired or anything? It's getting late.
I got another little while to go. I don't know how long. I mean, we're like Guitar Wank. We just go until until we're out of liquor, then we quit.
I don't want to abuse the opportunity. Is there anything like I know you've got the Grumps TV, you've got your Red guitar. Is there any maybe projects that you may have recorded that are yet to be released or not at this time?
Nothing at this time. I really don't know where it's all going to go right now. I feel like I've got a lot of things in the air. Um, I'm just hoping to get back to playing A, for people, and B, with people.
Right.
And I really don't know where it's all going to go. And I'm open minded to everything. I'm recording every day. So, I mean, if anybody wants to hear what I sound like, go to my YouTube channel and my Instagram account. It's at Formanism.
Hmm.
And I've got mymusicmasterclass.com videos that I'm continually making. A new one, like I say, came out last week.
Right.
And I'm just like living the life and staying creative. I think the whole idea of making records, I don't know, I think I'm past that now. I mean, not that I won't do it, but
Yeah.
I think basically with the way YouTube works and the way the world interacts with EPs and just single releases are okay now, and
Yeah.
you you work your ass off for a CD or a record that has like a 45 minutes to an hour of music, right?
Yeah.
And then you put it out on the world, and 2 days later it's gone because 15 other people have dropped their records on top of it.
Yeah.
Seems to me that we're in much better shape releasing singles or EPs so that we can be constantly interacting with our audience with new stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't see the whole point of working a year like Scott does, or 2 years, on a record, and then you put it out, and then there's a bunch more shit.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
know, it's like Eddie Van Halen dies and no one talks about you, and then you don't have a second chance, and you put like 12 tunes out.
Yeah.
Why don't you put one tune out of every couple weeks, or 3 tunes out every month and a half? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I think the whole world's just in flux right
It's
now,
changing.
and I think that's good. I don't think it's bad.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, I'm producing stuff every day, and I'm trying to get better. I'm working my ass off, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to go new places, and I really want to entertain people.
Hmm.
And I've got a new business called Amigolo. I don't know if you check that out.
I'm not sure about that one. What is that?
Okay. Well, basically, everybody's been calling this the pandemic, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, what it is. But for me and my life and my wife, it's really the mandemic.
I heard you about that. Yeah.
Okay, so in other words, like we were living this world where I was on the road all the time and out working gigs and in LA and teaching, and it's like, I mean, we have a great relationship. And we were a lot together a lot, but not that much. I was
Right.
on a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And come March 13th, I've been here 24/7.
Right. Driving
And,
her crazy.
and so is she. And so, like, it's amazing. I never knew I blinked that loud, or I breathed that loud, or, what
Yeah.
I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, and so, and I'm sure that's really true of a lot of musicians' spouses.
Yeah.
So I'm developing a thing called Amigolo, which is like amigo, friend, and gigolo put together,
Uh-huh.
so that we can rent out the musicians to lonely women and people who need entertainment and whatever.
To get you
Well,
out of the house.
yeah, you get you out of the house, but
Yeah.
also, people who are feeling lonely and want entertainment and good good social interaction,
Uh-huh.
socially distanced. Everybody's can do what they got to do. It's freedom, but
Yeah.
if somebody calls and they want to rent me for the night, I go
That's
out,
cool.
we have a meal, and I play and we talk, whatever you want, politics, history, music, I sing and I play, and I go home or I don't, whatever. I mean,
That's great.
it's just it's a new business model. It's like
Okay.
it's like Uber for humans, kind of.
Have you been doing it yet? Or is this
Yeah,
just getting started?
it's amigolo.com, man.
Amigolo. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm real proud of it. It's a great business thing. We're looking for angel funders right now, and we're gonna have an IPO, I'm sure, real soon. So,
I love it. That's great, man. You get all these great ideas, so I hope they all work out for you.
you know, keep throwing shit against the wall, something's bound to stick. You know what I mean?
And before we go, I would love for you. I know you were saying the idea of CDs is, maybe, outdated, but I would love for you to do a solo guitar CD. I know you do solo guitar all the time with your videos, but where
Right.
you record yourself, in a studio or your own studio with a mic where it's produced, but maybe put out a new song every once in a while. I would love to get that because you're doing a
Right.
lot of it anyway right now.
Well, you're in luck, and you don't have to pay for it. Just go to YouTube. Uh,
Mhm.
Granted, they're off the cuff. I'm sitting on the couch just playing, so sonically they might not be, like what would
Right.
happen if I had
In a studio.
Al Schmidt in Capitol Studio A.
Yeah.
But you can hear everything I do,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it's real, and I'm releasing them pretty much every other day.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and like I say, if you go to my Instagram account, every morning you get a chorus of a tune. You don't get a whole tune, but you get a chorus of a tune.
Yeah.
And hey, that's sometimes more than enough.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Well,
No,
hey, Bruce.
so
Well, hey, man, thank you so much. It was such an honor to have you on my podcast. You're definitely the first really big heavy hitter that I've had, and it's really been. I've met you a few times, and I would love to hang out with you in person sometime and go to one of your gigs and hang out. I've seen you in different gigs, but I never really came up and talked to you. I get kind of shy with that stuff, but next time when this is over, I'll come to your gig and we'll hang and have a drink, and it would be a lot of fun.
yes, and I really appreciate you being so gentle with me. It was a very pleasurable experience.
Oh, well, you're great, man. I mean, you're easy to talk to as you just get going and see where it goes.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, so let me know when this comes out, and I'll make sure that I'm out of the country by that time.
what I do is I put these on my YouTube channel and then I link them to Facebook. So I'll
Great.
I'll do that. But thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Stay
All
healthy and stay safe.
right. Good. Best of luck with this podcast thing. We need people like you doing this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Have a good night, buddy.
All right. Good night.
All right, we'll see you. Have a good one.